Alright everyone, this is the One-Eyed Cat. Welcome to another video that I'm working on. And in this case, I am playing a Shadowheart Origin character. Where's our Origin character? There she is! Alright, so I'm going to explain something that I've wanted to explain for a while. And that is how to actually run a Shadowheart Origin in terms of the build that you choose. This is a contentious issue, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's no scientific proof or evidence that like the way I'm doing it is the best way or not. But there's been complaints that people levy about Shadowheart, like first of all, she doesn't hit targets, and there's other things like, you know, like she being a cleric that she doesn't have a charisma score, or if you like, you know, give her a charisma score, then it stretches out her what is it called? Her ability scores. So I want to actually like go through what I think is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to actually run Shadowheart Origin, and that is to go Bard. Because at this point, if you're a Shadowheart Origin, you are not, you are the face character, and that's really difficult to do as a cleric. So here's what I'm going to do: is I'm going to go in here and show you how.
Fate dost thou require as the
how to like rebuild Shadowheart, or build Shadowheart if you will. So here's the thing. She starts off as a trickery domain cleric, and even defaults to that when she's here, right? So there's two different ways to do this, right? One of those is to keep her a cleric, but if you do that as a cleric, here's what happens. If you want to have a good persuasion score and other stuff, like some clerics come with like persuasion, right? So we do this. See, it's +1, right? Now let's see how we are. +2. It's recommended generally by the D&D community, which Baldur's Gate is built off of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, that your face character have at least a +5 in persuasion. We're at 2 now. That would be 3, 4, 5, right? To do that, I'm already spending one of my bonus things, right? Now I have my +5 in persuasion, right? But what does that result in? If I'm trying to make a cleric that way, it's going to result in some really like ugly choices. One of which easily is what's called MAD, or multiple ability score dependency. So let's say I'm like, you know what? I absolutely want to do this as a cleric. I'm gonna forego choosing strength because we're gonna have to, and I'll show you why. But here's the thing: like, I'm used to clerics being the full plate armor, you know, melee weapon, mace, whatever type of stereotype. You don't have to do that with her, even though she comes that way. You don't have to do that. However, if I'm gonna build her as a cleric that also has face skills, all my healing spells are based on wisdom. I only have a few points to distribute for anything else now. And look at that. Now I'm already in Constitution like 15, so I can't really do much Constitution. So at that level, I'd probably want to engage in some form of like getting the Warcaster feat. So that's 1 less feat, and then I have 2 ability score feats over my lifetime, all the way up to level 12 as a cleric, that I can distribute. So maybe 18 wisdom and 18 charisma wouldn't be too bad. But still, look what I'm doing to my stats. It's absolutely atrocious. Like, so I wonder if it'll actually show the difference here. No, it won't. So it's just a flat D10. So maybe it's easier for me to hit people with my cantrip of Firebolt, but I'm really not going to be very effective in combat at all, because I'm trying to do too many things at once. Now, there are ways to compensate for that, and I'm going to show you one of them. If you're first starting off the game, what you can do is you can do this. I think it's 12. Yeah, 3. I think that's what it is, right? Here, I'll show you how to do one of the ways around having a low charisma score at the beginning of the game. This is level 1, so like, okay, I would probably do something like wisdom. Let's maybe do dexterity. I hate to do it this way, but like, let's say I start off the game this way, giving only like 12 to charisma. I don't really have any charisma checks in the game, until about level 2, right? Because like if you do things right at the on the ship that you're rescued from, you can basically then immediately go to Rogue, and this is going to be ironic because what am I doing with Rogue? I'm taking that persuasion point right there, right? So then I might decide, okay, what else do I want to be able to do? Deception maybe, right? So I'm really trying to stretch out my face skills. I could do that. That's something that's perfectly valid, that I can add rogue class to myself, right? Just so that I can sort of try to hold on. But the problem is, as a trickery cleric, at this point I may not have any spells. Let me check real quick. Yeah, as a trickery cleric, I don't have really any healing spells. That's actually the amulet I'm wearing, the amulet of restoration. So I'm not even doing my job at that point, right? So I'm just going over the frustration with, like,
dost
you know,
thou
trying
require
to shoehorn
as thou
Shadowheart into the role of a face character as a cleric, because there's too much restriction there. So let's say I wait till level 3, I get withers, I reclass. Here's actually, I think, the slightly better way to do it at level 3. At level 2, what I was doing is I was going rogue in terms of adding a subclass of rogue to bump up my charisma, but then the problem is I don't have any healing spells. At level 3, if I really want to play that game, I could go life cleric. That's not really part of her origin, but it don't matter, right? And I could do that. Life cleric, do just charisma 14 or charisma 12. She comes with charisma 14, which makes no sense for her character. But I could do 12, take second level in terms of rogue, and then take another level. So here we go. How would that work? It would probably be something like, no, I'm not doing that. Probably this. Like some, I don't like this. So maybe I could do something similar to this. It's sort of janky, right? Trying to do things at level 3, because like I have medicine and persuasion, but I'm still like really, you know, I'm really screwing around with my subclass too much at level 3, and I'm reclassifying too much to make it work, right? So at level 2, I'm a level 1 cleric, level 2 rogue. Then if I get to level 3, I can add another level from there. I know I was going off on a tangent here, but on this one, I could still be trickery domain, because at level 3, if I get withers, I can be level 1 cleric for armor class with charisma 12, level 2 rogue, and then use the skills to buff up my skills, and then go back to take a level in cleric and then get my healing spells. At level 3, then you're not too bad. But why would you want to do that is my question. So here's what I really think should happen in the first place. Am I still at level 1? Okay. So here's what I would do. I would start the game off with trickery domain cleric and not worry about the persuasion rolls. Try to stay away from dialogue things where you have to make persuasion rolls in the game. But just like basically, you know, you get off the ship, you go directly over to if you're starting with Shadowheart Origin, you're on the beach when you first crash land. You'd want to jump up to the right of the area where the intellect devourers are to get Gale. Then go around the corner, kill the wounded mind flayer, grab Asterion, and then go and face the intellect devourers. That's an easier way to do it if you're level 2 cleric. But at that point, you get to the Grove, you only do the basics of dialogue that you even need to do. It doesn't matter if Zevlor punches that one dude out or not, because that dude's going to cause, you know, spoiler alert, that dude's going to cause problems in Act 3 if he's not dead anyway, so it really doesn't matter what you do at that point. Either storyline doesn't matter. You would basically want to then go directly over to the cultists, clear out the goblins in the cave, and rescue that one druid. Do all the things you can to get to level 3 before going into so as level 3 you're going into the temple and you're getting withers. At level 3, I'm just going to come out and say it, this has been the whole point of the video: go bard. Now there's a way to do it. Now I'm going to show you two options. There's cleric. You would have to do trickery domain, and here's why. I've tried Life Domain. You get the healing spells at level 1, which is great, but here's the problem. When you adjust your ability scores, because like basically what we would be doing is we would be doing this just to we would be doing this just to, well, not literally this, what I'm showing you, but we would basically take one level of Trickery Domain Cleric for the armor and the, where is it at? Sorry, I think I got off on a tangent. Oh, so Life Domain. We don't want Life Domain because if we do that, but then we take Bard, we're going to have this weird problem where our ability scores are not right. And here's what I mean. You would basically end up in a situation where when you go to the spell list, maybe I'll just show you how it works. Life Domain, let's say I'm trying to go towards this direction anyway. Yeah, maybe that. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about what I want to do. Yeah, that's why. Dex. I'm going to probably go this way eventually because the second level will be Bard. So let's say we go Life Cleric as our first level. What'll happen is we'll go in here and get Bard. So I'll show you. We'd get Bard. Take our cantrips or whatever, doesn't matter, right? Now, you're seeing this thing where it's saying that, you know, we already have these spells. By the way, my kitten's probably going to attack me while I'm doing this. Right? So here's the problem. Like, we get to Persuasion, sure, etc., right? So let me get out of here and show you what happens. If you're a Life Cleric, specifically Life Cleric, when you go to cast a spell, well, hold on. Maybe I need to, like, give myself another level. Don't care what it is, you just need to, like, get to a level. Here, I'll show you. What'll happen is this. Where's it at? Yeah, this is what happens, right? Look at the difference. This is the Cleric spell. I have 1 to 8 healing. This is the Bard spell, 4 to 11 healing. Which one's better? Look at the modifier, 1d8, that's the Cleric one. 1d8 plus 3, that's the Charisma-based Bard spell. You end up in a situation specifically with Life Cleric that you have these janky spell things going on, and honestly, it's annoying. I don't want to do it. Like, because I'm sitting there, you know, if you accidentally cast the wrong one in combat, that might be the difference between getting your character up off the ground and not getting them up off the ground in terms of, like, well, you know, maybe making sure that they don't get sent to the ground, like, get beat up. So, in my opinion, just Life Cleric is not acceptable for doing what I'm about to do. So if you're going to try to hold on to a level of Cleric, specifically because of her origin, I know, I love you too, kitten. Like, I would take the spells that are not necessarily going to depend on your wisdom score, right? Because what I'm going to do, I'm doing this with the intent to go with Lore Bard and use a level of Cleric to get armor. So if I do it that way, I'm probably going to end up in a situation, I know I do stats a little bit different than other people, I don't care. I'm making her mainly what I want her to be in terms of her party role and her origin lore. So we got our Trickery Domain Cleric, right? Trickery Domain Clerics do not get healing spells at level 1. So if you're doing it specifically for Blessings of the Trickster, and then switching over to Lore Bard, which is what I intend to do, that's one way of doing the whole, like, healing thing. It's going to say you know these spells, but really you don't have them yet. So you can do something like this. We're going to do, you know, we already have 5 Persuasion, 5 Deception, whatever, sure, fine, that's fine. Now, I'm going to speed through here to show you how it worked in terms of speeding through, because I wouldn't really play it this way. I would go College of Lore because I get more abilities, which will round out being a base character, but then also I'm going to get 2 opportunities for magical secrets, which is going to be very beneficial because if I want to run around using the Radiant Armor and using my Spirit Guardians, at level 6 of Bard, I'm going to get the ability to go and take Spirit Guardians and other healing spells like Mass Healing Word. So that's going to be very beneficial. So to max out the role that I am playing, which is Persuasion and Deception, and then maybe a little bit of intimidation, right? This is probably where I would go. I would probably do investigation, because sometimes I have to roll investigation or insight. That's basically what I would do. Basically, her job is to be the face character, because it's her origin that I'm playing through, and then going to I'll take that one. Actually, no, I'll take that one. Then what would I do? I'd want to take that, because bards can do healing stuff very well. So at this point, I have 16 Constitution. I'm not wanting to take more Constitution or Warcaster, because I've already got a 16, and that's pretty good. You know, most of the spells I'm going to do in terms of healing are one time. They're not like they're not a concentration type. So I'm going to want to improve my Charisma, because I'm only going to get 2 opportunities, because I don't have all 12 levels in Bard. Right? So I'm only at level 5 or so with this playthrough, but here's the thing. This actually isn't too bad. It really isn't too bad at all. What do I do with strength? Yeah. Well, I just need to, like, get rid of some of my stuff. Send to camp. Anyway, so this is one way of doing her origin. You still have your Blessings of the Trickster. You still have her first level of a Cleric, because she does sort of call herself a Cleric of Shar in the game. But you've got all these nice healing spells that aren't going to have multiple versions. They're all going to be really good. See, there's all +4 on them all. That's good. That's what your job is. Now, here's my alternate. So
Fate, dost thou
the
require
first
a
option
new
I think is best is
ally?
Arcane Trickster,
Or
holding on to one level of that
a
and going Warbard.
resurrection instead.
However, there's another
As
way to
thou
do it, and I'm going to show you what that is. The other way to do it, which I actually prefer, is to actually start off completely as a lore bard in the fullest sense of the word. There are some drawbacks to this. One of them is that you're not going to have medium armor. So here, I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to take flute. I want my abilities to be as clean as possible, so I'm going to go here. So I'm focusing on healing, so I'm going to want high constitution. I don't necessarily have to have it, but I want to be the last person standing. Like, the Cleric is usually the last person standing because they're very hardy. That's just the way I like playing things. I have dexterity of 14, but I'm going to take all 12 levels in Bard. I'm going to show you how that works, and how you can basically, like, improve things. So persuasion, deception, intimidation. I'm basically going to intentionally take, because I'm going to have Asterion in my party, I'm going to intentionally take all the face skills, because I want to maximize the role that I play in the party. I think that's more important than trying to do everything. A bard is a flexible character, but a character class, but we don't have to do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, let's see, maybe I'm going to want this for now. Now, obviously you're going to need some levels in your character before you go this direction. You're going to need at least level 4, and I'll show you why. Now look, you're going to get all kinds of awesome abilities. So you're already at +5, which is the minimum that they recommend in Dungeons and Dragons for a face character. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to maximize that. So I want to be the best at persuasion and deception. You can play intimidation. It doesn't matter, however you want to do it. I'm going to have +7. I'm going to be like skilled as heck. And I'm already a bard, so I automatically get sort of like a half proficiency in everything, just because it's called Jack of all trades. As a face character, like, I'm going to be the person in front of the party, so I'm going to want perception so I don't run over things. I'm going to want, I already have insight, so that's pretty good. I want investigation, a little bit of that. This is just my opinion, of course. There's multiple ways to play this. I don't really need a better performance, because honestly, I don't think there's any place in the game where I've actually, you know, pass or fail on just performance, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to go over here to survival, because that's, you know, I don't even have to. I'm going to do Arcana. The only reason why is, well, yeah. If I'm playing the party this way, here's one of the things. If I want Arcana, it would make more sense to have Gale be a wizard, so I don't have to take that. but Gale in my playthrough right now is actually a Storm Sorcerer. So someone needs to take Arcana, and it's quite often that I end up having to do that. So I'm going to say, for the purpose of this, maybe I'll take Arcana, but I mean, Survival's another good one. Usually my warrior, my combat specialist is my survival person, so in this case, I made sure she has survival and animal handling because she likes animals. So I'm going to take that as a bard. At this point, probably one of the very best cleric type spells you can have is enhance ability, so I'm going to make sure I have that. And then my first ability score, I hate to say it, I'm going to use the last two for charisma. I'm not going to need Warcaster because I have a pretty good constitution, and again, most of my stuff is not concentration as this class, so I'm going to take dexterity so that she actually hits stuff. Because people tend to play her with like a low strength or low dexterity, and then they wonder why they're not hitting things with melee and with range. So then my spells, I actually like Calm Emotions quite a bit. You don't have to take it. If I wanted Knock, I would actually have like Asterion be an Arcane Trickster, but he's got the Gloves of Thievery, he's got a high dexterity, he's a rogue. I'm going to be fine. I don't really need Knock. There's only like one place in the game where you need it, but you can get a spell scroll of Knock and go and use that. I think you actually get a spell scroll of Knock in the game. So I'm focusing on supporting my party. Calm Emotions. There are some fights in Act 2 and 3 that if you don't have this, like you're basically like your whole party is going to get wiped out. Well, not wiped out, but subjected to the Fear spell. So I like taking Calm Emotions. The only thing to remember is like your Barbarian cannot go into Rage while they're in the Calm Emotions field. That's a fair trade-off in my opinion, because you can go into Rage, but if you get, if they use the Fear spell against you, they're going to run away. So I prefer this. Right? I'm here to support the party. Alright. So when you look at... Oh. I made a mistake. I'm not going to go back and correct it and waste your time. But basically, what I should have done instead of taking that is I should have taken medium armor. Because I think you can still run luminous armor. But it's medium armor, so you would have to actually do that.
Fate, dost thou request?
I think I'm actually going to do it anyway, whatever. So, Lore Bard... I'm just going to go through it because I'm just like, you know what, I want to show you. Alright, so spells... Glamour. Well, that first. Lore. Abilities. Perception. Yeah, I apologize. But, investigation. Doesn't matter what it is. Who cares? What I should have done is I should have went over here, and I should have taken the medium armored feat, moderately armored, and get myself one more strength that way. Doesn't really matter. Spells, I think I did this. Oh, so, my bad, sorry about that. So, her focus is on supporting the party and on healing. It's not focused on combat, but so don't worry about Shadowheart not hitting stuff. Using Dex is the best bonus so that you can use like a finesse weapon and that. And I'm gonna give her Thalar Aluve, that one drow sword that's in the Underdark, because it's finesse and it's got the ability to buff friendlies or to do like thunder damage, like add on to everyone's thunder damage. But anyway, so this I actually think is a better way to do it. I prefer this, even though like it's only like this because I like messed around with the stuff. But this is better in my opinion because she's gonna be really good at healing. Look at all those bonuses. She's got her luminous armor, so that's gonna be fine. She's got a high constitution, So she's going to likely be the last one standing, you know, a lot of times, which is great because then she can resurrect her friendlies. There you go. I think, honestly, a lore bard with medium armor is preferable to doing it the other way around for the skill points. So yeah, that's basically how I do Shadowheart Origin is lore bard with medium armored feat. But like I said, you can do the Arcane Trickster version too. Thank you for watching this. So basically, I reclass, to summarize everything, I reclass Shadowheart in such a way where she's good at supporting everyone, but also being the face character because she is the origin character, and I think that Bard is the best way to do that. Whether you do Swords Bard, Lore Bard, I prefer Lore Bard. Thank you for watching. This is the One-Eyed Cat. Have a good day.